at www.live.aapolo.com. This is Grandote's Triple Crown of Polo Report, today bringing you the top 20 plays in the Tortugas and Hurlingham Open, followed by our interview with Andres Ugarte Lorraine.
Fernández Llorente winning it over, and now Tomás Panelo. There good pressure by Tomasito Fernández Llorente, and here he comes. Tomasito to add a new one for La Arenita Quinoa. Tomás Fernández Llorente, and an amazing open shot to score his first one today to make it 7-4 in favor. He ended up calling it against Juan Martín Subía, and now Camilo Castañola. Resuming the play, here he comes, Camilo again with the long distance approach, looking for the net, and Camilo Castañola scoring mostly out of the blue to extend the lead. We're in the field, we're gonna take a look again here, deflected by Juan Brito's horse, and on the second attempt, look, wow, Camilo Castañola. Juan Britos following that goal by Francisco Elizalde comes this one by Juan Britos. After that, tapping on the near side, and the final approach also. Number 6, let's take a look again at what just happened, Pablo, and the very nice tapping, and the saving by Barto Castañol, and then Juan Martín Subía. What a second half so far by Juan Martín. The penalties area, the approach at goal, and the ball was saved by Iñaki. When we're already playing on the first bell, Facundo Pieres trying to take advantage of the last seconds of play of this first half. Facundo again. The approach, and now Pelon Sterling with the back shot on the near side. Here comes Facundo. Facu, the marking by Adolfo, but still Facu on one more approach, hitting from a long distance, the ball passing by, and by Pelon Sterling, and this is very dangerous for the rival, how well they are understanding each other now. Poroto, wow, out of the 13 goals scored today by La Dolfina have been scored by Poroto. And now Pelon Sterling on the near side to find his goal. And Pelon Poroto, and here comes La Dolfina with a chance of opening the score today. Another approach by Poroto Cambiaso to score. And Poroto opening the game 1-0. And now again, the long assist by Adolfo to link with his son, with Poroto, 16 years old. Wow, only 23 years old for Juan Martín Subía to close the gap again to make it 7-5, but wow, what a way to score, definitely. Juan Martín Subía, and it's raining goals here by Juan Martín Subía, who finds the net for the third time in this chapter to make it 7-6. What a way! Wow. Wow, amazing. I was trying to remember when was the last time I saw a goal like that. Way they won it. And Adolfo playing towards the board with the chance of taking the game all the way to the other end. Adolfo. Tapping there. The shouting there by Pelon. Pega, hit it. And now Poroto Cambiaso. For La Dolfina, the long approach looking for Pelon Sterling, who was running up front. And here comes Pelon into the danger zone to extend the lead for La Dolfina. Pelon Sterling. Second goal today to make it 11-6 in favor of La Dolfina. And again, as they did in the second chapter. And the ball remains in Pablo McDonough and Adolfo Cambiaso. When we listen to the first bell, the marking by Francisco Elizalde and Adolfo Cambiaso with a long approach, putting some pressure over Juan Britos. And now coming from behind was Poroto Cambiaso. 10 seconds remaining only. And here comes Pelon Sterling to score before the end of the chapter. Nice approach by the Uruguayan into the danger zone. Pelon, the ball facing behind. Nice follow up by Juan Britos and Francisco Elizalde again. Going wide. Juan Martín Subía. And it's raining goals here by Juan Martín Subía, who finds the net for the third time in this chapter to make it 7-6. What a way.
Today's guest is the man making that great play-by-play call for AAP Live, Andres Ugarte Lorraine. I've listened to you for over 50 hours, at least of broadcast time, so I feel like I know you. You seem familiar. Your voice sounds very young.
No, yeah, not that young. 37 actually, but Usually, and when you're calling the game by yourself, without a guest commentator, there is no much space, to speak
Yes.
about you. And also at the same time, I always say the same. I mean, the characters are the ones who are inside the field. They are the
Right.
ones who are helping the players. So it's only about them.
You had the guy from the AAP with you. He was really interesting. He was good.
Yeah, that time was Pepe Santamarina.
He knew a
Who
lot of
is
facts.
one of the yeah, because actually he's in charge of all the polo at the Hurlingham club. So he's been involved with the club,
Right.
with Hurlingham for a long time. So he knows everything, every single aspect of the history, who played the tournament, who won it.
Right.
And well, actually, and he has, of course, a lot of relationship with the people in English polo, because the Hurlingham club actually holds a great history with the English
Right.
in Argentina.
Andres, I'm
So
amazed at how you can call a game in a second language. Where did you learn to speak English so perfectly?
well, actually, I had English at school. In many parts in Argentina, you have English as a subject, but of course, while I was at school, I never really paid attention to it. I mean, always my mother said, you have to pay attention to the language and everything. But then as the years went by and I start to grow up and traveling, and I get to understand how important it was.
You must have spent some real time in the States or in England, because you're far too smooth to have learned your English completely out of a book.
Yeah, I mean, when I travel a couple of times, like in vacations with friends, and then around, I would say, 2012, I went to Australia for a year on a work and holiday visa. Maybe there
That's what did
I
it.
started to pronounce it or
Right.
better, or change the structure, because
Right.
at the beginning, when you start speaking like a foreign language, what you do, or what I did at least, was like using the same structure in Spanish to speak it in English. So,
Absolutely. How did you learn about polo? How did you get involved in the game?
well, actually, I always like watching and reading every sport. And when I was younger, um, something that we have in Argentina related to polo is that La Nación, which is one of the main papers in Argentina,
Right.
they always publish everything that has to do with the Triple Crown. Also, I don't know, ESPN.
Right.
They broadcast the Open since 1994. So, as a matter of fact, if you're interested in sport, you have it at hand.
Right.
Polo. It's not that it's a popular sport, but
Right.
in comparison to other countries, you get it there. So I was interested in, and I don't know. I remember Indio Chapalefú,
Right.
Eleftina, Cambiaso, Dieguis, the Merlos, and all that generation of play. Mostly, I would
90s.
say in the early 90s,
Yeah.
with
When
the
they played-
four brothers playing
Right.
together, which was a very popular team, because also, not only because the way they played polo, and they were a 40-goal team, Indios Chapalefú 1 and
Right.
Indios Chapalefú 2, but also because of the sponsors by that time.
Right.
That there was like
Marlboro.
cigarette branding.
You might be too young to remember, but in the mid 80s, the three brothers, when Marcos was too little, played with Alex Garahand, El Grandote. What a team that was. I think he is one of the greatest backs, along with Juanma, to ever play the game. He was
incredible.
Yeah, actually, I only got to see him like through videos, because
Right.
I was really young. But
Right.
then I worked with his son, with Martin Garahan, in the transmission. So I ask him some things about him sometimes. Yeah.
Incredible.
striker of the ball. No one could hit it like him. He could just send the ball a mile. Have you recovered from the World Cup celebration, the Argentine victory?
Well, I think it. I mean, football in Argentina, it's a passion. It's beyond the sport, So
Right.
everybody was involved. It was not only that the football fans were waiting to see what was going to happen with the national team, but
The
the country as a whole,
Yeah.
all the people who never follow a sport, they were also connected with the team and everything. And when they start going through the stages, it was getting more and more mad in Argentina, and when the team won the final, it was incredible all around the country. I'm from Buenos Aires, so I got to see the obelisco, which is the center of the celebrations always in Argentina. It was packed. Yeah, no. I mean, it was, as you said, all around the country, in every single city. And also last year, as a matter of fact, in Soto Grande, one of the players of the national team, Alejandro Gomez, Papu Gomez, who is playing in Sevilla, which is located around 2 hours away, was in Soto Grande because he's very close to Polito Pieres, so he was there a couple of days. So now some people who are there, they say nowadays that they have a picture with one of the champions. So, and actually about La Espadaña, they only lost one game in Palermo, and it was the one that you were talking before, the final of '86 against Chapalefu. That was the only game they lost in Palermo with the historical foursome with Alfonso, Gonzalo.
What do you think about the new La Natividad team?
Yeah, it's a 40-goal team, definitely, but also in terms of horses, because already Camilo and Barto were on top of amazing horses. They had an amazing stream, and now they have brought Facundo over with an amazing stream.
And
of
course,
too. The same with Pablo. Yes, I mean Pablo and Matias McDonough, his brother. I think they will have together at least 15, 18 horses, like of a top level. So now it's definitely a matter of horses, I mean, at least they are the team with the most pressure nowadays, because if you take a look at it, La Dolfina won it last year, and now La Natividad, it's a team that has been set to win it. To win it.
And it seemed like Dolfina peaked just at the right time.
I think both Pelon, Sterling, and Nero had their best games in the season.
Yes.
I mean, Juanma was coming back to La Dolfina after some years of a lot of injuries, surgeries. The same with Pelon, who had to came from England in the middle of the season to have surgery in Argentina. And then suddenly it looked as if they prepare for the final of the Open, because they were absolutely amazing all through the game, both in defense but also in attack.
He's the right team. No, absolutely.
My guess is that once La Natividad decided to replace Polito and Nachi with Faco and Pablo, it sent shockwaves down through the rest of the teams in Polo. How do you think the new 36-goal La H lines up?
Yeah. I think at the beginning, I was a little bit surprised because they didn't have like a natural number 4, but the decision now has been taken that Fran Elizalde will be starting at number 4, Sapo number 3, Hilario number 2, and Polito number 1. And Polito and Hilario have already played together some years in Alegría. They reached the final of the Open back in 2013.
Yes.
I think it's a very interesting proposal, the one that they are presenting here. And plus, I think that they don't have the pressure that La Natividad has. So
I like the 35-goal teams too. We have Cria Dolfina is now 35 goals. I think El Restina is 35 goals. And this new La Ensenada team is 35 goals. What do you think of them?
Yeah, they played together 2 years ago. And after these 2 seasons that have passed, all 4 of them has grown a lot in terms of level, in terms of horses. So they're going to be a very interesting team, definitely. Yeah,
and El Restina is 35 goals now too?
El Restina, because they have 3 9-goalers in Nico, Gonza, Nacho Duplessis, and then Bauti Bayugar.
I was kind of surprised that Bautista Bayugar didn't get raised. I thought he should go from 8 to 9 goals. I thought he had one of the best seasons. Played really well. What a great player he is. Sapo Cassette is another player that I thought should have gone back to 10 goals. I think Sapo is a beast. He's a magnet to the ball. What a phenomenal player he is. The more I see him, the more impressed I am with him. What do you think of his game?
Yeah. Sapo, definitely. I mean, he's been one of the top players of the last 15 years. But completing what I said about Bauti Bayugar, I think this is going to be a great challenge for him. He's been linked with Del Ertina some years ago in the organization. and then he left to play for La Arenita. He was a replacement for Nico Pieres when Nico got injured in Hurlingham a couple of years ago. So this is a very big opportunity for him.
I love his game too.
Hopefully he can take it.
Step up and do it.
He'll have some really big shoes to fill, taking Facundo's place. I don't think anybody can take Facundo's place, but Bayugar had an incredible season, and I think he's a great young player. And if anyone's up to the task, it's probably him. What about Nacho Duplessis? Do you think the two of them can fill the void of Ilario and Facundo? Nacho Duplessis is a great player at 9 goals, but I don't think he's as strong as some of the other 9 goalers. It's a tough handicap to have. You've got Facundo and Ilario and Sapo all at 9 goals. What type of player is Duplessis? Will he be able to hold his own for Ellersteina? Will they be as good as they were?
Yeah, I get it. I mean, look, he used to be like a full-time player. Then he started leaving some tournaments. Then he got married.
He's an amazing player. I mean, he's amazing.
He has a couple of kids, but and he's not the same kind of player as Fred, as you mentioned before. But now he only plays in Argentina. Actually, maybe in South Africa if he goes there for some weeks. And he will be back with Ellersteina.
Yeah.
He already played with them when he had to replace Mariano Aguirre back in 2014 when they reached the final. And well, let's see how it goes. He's a natural number 4, so he will suit them definitely.
Incredible.
Yeah.
What happens with all the qualifications? Do the new lineups with the new teams have to requalify? Like La Arenita Grand Champions no longer exists. Who takes their place? How does that work exactly, the qualification?
You mean for the main draw
for the Triple Crown? Do they have to requalify?
Well, it gets it's a little bit complicated in terms of that, because it's not that the teams are like franchises. You know, the places are not for the teams, but the ones who qualified are the players.
Right.
Every single player gets points, and then you have to add. I mean,
make a team of people
put together a team. Yeah, of qualified players. Yeah.
It's essentially the same 40 guys. They're just lining up for different teams. What about when you have like 2 Lahaches now? Does the second Lahache have to qualify, or because their players had qualified on another team, they're okay?
In a kind of way, Lahache, it's one of the teams that are new now to the main draw. And they will actually have 2 teams.
I get it. There's no new players, nobody from the outside. They've just reshifted their allegiances. I was also impressed with Lahache. That little team just wouldn't quit. They played a lot of tough games, and I think they ended up being the 8th seed.
Yeah. I mean, whoever finishes in the 8th position in the Triple Crown
faces
the winner of the camera, as you said before. So that gives the 4 players of the winning team of that playoff game the necessary points to be qualified. Sorry for my English, but qualifiable for the next year.
So because G Squared and La Esquina finished 9th and 10th, they'll have to requalify.
Yeah. I mean, they still get some points, but not enough for them to get into the main draw. So in case they want to play together again next year, they will have to play the qualification. Yeah.
How do you get a team into one of the 2 qualification tournaments for the Abierto? Can you just enter a team? You have to. How does it work? What teams get to play for the opportunity to qualify?
Well, you have like a deadline date to set your team.
Right.
So you have until that date.
The Ventureria and the Remonta, I guess it was called.
Yeah. Remonta y Veterinaria, yeah. You have until that date to set your team.
Okay.
And unless there are too many teams, they will go straight into the main draw. So far lately has been, I don't know, 7 teams some years ago. Last year were 8. So as they are 8, they just set a tournament with 2 brackets, and that's it. It's not that so far has been like a previous quali to play the quali.
Winning the Camara Deputados is quite a feat, too. You got to give Nuestra Tierra credit. They had to go through quite a few teams to get that opportunity to play La Hache and make the Triple Crown. They just fell just a little bit short.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, personally, I would like to see in the future like more live matches of Camera, Copa Pilar, and
Right.
Metro, because there are so many. As you said before, the Camera had 16 teams,
16 teams
between 24 and 30 goals.
Yes.
And it's also a great chance. I don't know. In Nuestra Tierra, you had Jared Seni playing from the US,
Yes.
one of the winners. But at the same time, in previous editions, you have, I don't know, James Harper, Oli Cadmore, Robert Strom, Jesse Bray, and so many players. And I think that internationally speaking, it would be great to have more of those matches live, but also for the Argentine players and for all the people who work, for the people who lend horses for those tournaments, because they are like 7 Chaca games. So you need to be really well organized to play these tournaments, and plus you need to be at least 4. So it's not an impossible challenge, for every foreign player to go and play it. But the next step will be to get them more with more promotion for everybody to know every single game. I would like to see.
There's so much competition. It's incredible. It's the future of polo. I see it as a proving ground for the 6 to 8 goal players who want to obtain that next level. It's harder and harder. Now tell me, who's the best woman player you've ever seen?
That I've seen play? I mean, I think that Nina Besti, Nina Clarkin nowadays makes a lot of impact in every single tournament and game she played. I mean, but I was lucky enough to see Sunny Hile actually playing one game.
Wow.
It would be like 6 years ago in Thailand, I guess. That must have been on the very same year or the year before she passed. And but now I think that for the ladies,
How about Caroline?
Actually, she won the Open with Adolfo, and Adolfo always says that he picked her even over some other 5-goal players.
He thought she was the best 4 or 5 goaler available.
I knew her mom, Sue Sally Hale, really well. She was a great lady. We're all from the Monterey Peninsula.
Just a great lady. Caroline Anye was a 4-goal player that I played with a long time ago, who was an incredible.
And she still plays, and it's amazing to see her playing. I had the chance to see her playing in France, not only with the ladies, but also in mixed polo, like in 10-goal tournaments, in 15-goal tournaments in Saint-Tropez, and she's tough.
Yeah.
Andres, you should have seen her play 25 years ago. She was amazing. All heart, that one. She wouldn't stop for anything.
One more shot for you.
And also, Kirk, I want to mention Claire Tomlinson, who just passed away.
Oh, I didn't know that.
She was. I never saw her player.
Right.
I never saw her playing, but I always been told how tough and how good she was. She also reached 5 goals.
Yes.
And also Marianela Castagnola, who's from Argentina, who won the República back in 1997 with Adolfo, Lolo Castagnola, and Guillermo Casset Sr. There were 3 very important ladies for the development of what nowadays it's an amazing women's circuit around the world, I think.
Absolutely.
Are we going to get to see the next Dream Team with Barto, Camilo, and Proto playing on the same team?
Well, actually, you mean in the Open?
Yeah,
in the Argentine Open?
Yeah, I'd love to see those boys give Colonel Suarez a run for their money. What an incredible team that would be.
Yeah, and actually they played together last year in the Jockey Club Open, and that was one of the best teams. And everybody is speaking about that. When is going to be the moment? I think that the moment will arrive. I don't know when, because it also depends on Adolfo, who, as I always said, hopefully he never retires from the game, because it's awesome what he does, not only inside the field but outside.
Do you think the 2 best players in the world are teenagers?
Well, now,
right now.
Well,
incredible.
Polo, Camilo, Barto, they're. I think that what Adolfo and Facundo did during the last 15 years is something similar like what in, as you say, soccer or football,
Right.
Lionel Messi and Cristiano Ronaldo did, or I don't know, Federer and Nadal, but they also had Djokovic. During so many years, they were on top of every single major tournament in the world,
Yes.
Adolfo and Facundo. And now, after all those years, we have these three magnificent players, Poroto, Barto, and Camilo, coming through.
Right.
They have already played in and won the most important tournaments in the world. And that's going to be a competition that
and they're going to get better.
We'll get to see for many years. Yeah.
Well, I've already taken up more time than I said I would take up, and I really appreciate it. Can I ask you one last question before we bring this to an end? Do you mind?
Just only one thing. You were speaking about Adolfo and what he's doing now inside the field.
Yes.
I think that just to complete that, it's very interesting to see him because he definitely realizes what he's able to do now, how far he can push it,
right.
And it's very interesting to see the efforts he makes in every moment of the game.
Yes.
To do whatever he can to help the team to accomplish the challenge, So,
well, there's no question Adolfo has a lot left in the tank. What an amazing player. I mean, he is the GOAT. Okay, last question. If you were the coach for the newly formed Argentine Olympic polo team, name for me your starting four and your alternate, please.
Well, that's tough, because it's like when you guys, if I say to someone from the US, look, you have to say like the ideal team of the NBA,
Yeah.
You would like to say like a 12.
Well, you don't get everybody in the whole history of polo. It's got to be from current players. The four players have to come from the players that played in last year's Triple Crown of Polo. Give me your starting four players.
Well, definitely I would put Nero as a number 4.
Okay.
Whom I think is the best number 4 of his generation.
Okay.
Yeah. Then, well, it's difficult, but maybe, and
Pablo,
taking a look
Marco,
at what they currently did, I would say like Adolfo,
okay.
Poroto,
okay. One more.
and Camilo.
Okay.
And
who's your alternate?
Yeah. And the alternate, like a second 4-man team, I would put
Barto.
I would say,
Sapo.
well, Pablo and Barto. Pablo and Barto will be there. Maybe
Yeah.
Barto playing as a number 4, Pablo as a number 3, and then, well, Facundo as a number 1, definitely. And as a number 2, well, it's difficult because there are so many, but maybe as a natural number 2, I would say Hilario. I would like to have Pelon, but Pelon is from Uruguay, and
Alfonso
very
Perez,
proud about
bring him out of
him,
retirement.
Yeah.
He was
and now you have to tell me your
mine.
4-man.
Okay, well, I'm going to put Barto at back, Sapo at 3, Poroto at 2, and Heda at 1. And Facundo is my alternate player.
That's an interesting team. That's a good one.
Well, Andres, thank you so much for your time. I took way too much of it. You've been a real sport. And the connection just dropped.
But if not, I know you're busy today. You've got the finals going.
It'd be weird, so I try to give more information for them to be a better moment, to watch the game and everything. Right. So that's what I try to do at least.
Thanks for coming in.
Hopefully.
Appreciate it. Take care.
Thank you, Rick. Kirk again. Thank you very much.
You can catch all the Triple Crown of Polo games at www.live.aapolo.com. You've been watching Grantote's Triple Crown of Polo Report, reminding you to please subscribe if you haven't. And as always, be safe, and we'll catch you next time. Thanks for watching.